Hi guys, today we're going to work with multiplying decimals. Here's our key points with multiplying decimals. I don't have to line up my place values. That's awesome. So it's not like adding and subtracting. And the same number of digits must be behind my decimal point in my product as in my factors. So that means we're just going to do a couple together and then you're going to try some on your own. So 6 times 13 hundredths. 13 hundredths is a way smaller number than 6. But 13 hundredths has more digits. So I'm going to put it on top. And then I'm going to line up my 6 down here. So when I'm actually doing my problem, I'm going to ignore my decimal point for the time being. So I'm just going to do a normal multiplication problem. So 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. Now I'm going to look at how many decimal points total do I have behind, how many digits total are behind my decimal point, to the right of my decimal point. I have 2, because my decimal point right here is here, right? So that means I'm going to have 2 numbers behind my decimal point. So 78 hundredths is my final answer. Alright, in this problem I have 4 and 37 hundredths, multiplying that by 5. Again, the number with the least amount of digits I put on the bottom. So I'm going to have 35 here, 18, 15, it's going to be an 8, carry my 1, that's going to be 21. And again, I'm going to count how many decimal places are behind my decimal point. So I've got 2. So my final answer, I should have 2. And again, we can always use estimating to come up with an answer. So if I just round this to the nearest whole number, I'm going to have 4 times 5 is 20. And I have an answer of 21. So I'm going to say that that's a good, reasonable estimate. Okay, so now why don't you try these 2 problems down here, and I'll be back with some answers, so go ahead and hit pause. All right, answers here. I should have, I'm going to have 6, and I've got 2 numbers behind my decimal point, so I'm going to need to have 2 numbers behind my decimal point, so my final answer is going to be 6 hundredths here. Okay, for this one, I'm going to have 5.32. Okay, so my numbers should be, I think I might be running out of room here. So I apologize. Let's count how many numbers are behind the decimal point. 3. So in my final answer, I need to have 3 numbers behind my decimal point. So 10 and 108 thousandths should be my final answer there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to do 2 story problems, and then that's going to be it for multiplying. So let's do this example one together. Cameron can read 198 words in a minute. Robert can read 1 and 6/10 times as fast. How many words can Robert read in a minute? So I'm going to need to set this problem up to be 196 times 1.6. So I'm going to set this problem up. It's going to be 11. I'm going to run out of room again. Add my 0, 6, 9, 1. When I add this all together, we'll get now I need to see how many numbers are behind my decimal point. So I have just 1. So I need just 1 number behind my decimal point. So how many words can Robert read in a minute? 313. words per minute. And we're just going to round this to the nearest whole number. Awesome. And that's how we're going to do that. So why don't you do this one real quick? I want to know if 1 pound of tomatoes cost $1.29. How much do 2 3/4 pounds of tomatoes cost? So go ahead and hit pause, and you can do this one real quick. All right, for our answer here, we should have ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're talking about money, so am I going to leave my answer like this? No, I'm going to round it to the nearest hundredth or to the nearest penny. So 4, I'm going to look at my 7. So how much do 2 3/4 pounds of tomatoes cost? They're going to cost $3.55. Final answer. Great, and this is multiplying decimals. We'll be back later.